Welcome to episode 3 of the Parallel Stories podcast, starring me, Ryder Noah from. This is a very special episode. My stomach hurts a little bit, so if you hear rumbling, ignore it. Ignore the rumbling. We're debuting Hair because it's a very special episode, but also last night I saw Wicked Part 1. It was amazing. Ariana Grande knocked it out of the fucking park. I was so happy for her. Cynthia Erivo did awesome as well, obviously, but Ariana Grande, I'm an Arianator at my core, so I was rooting for my girl, and she delivered. She did more than that. Bowen Yang and that other girl were also really funny. There was so much comedy in that movie. I've seen a full bootleg of Wicked only once, so I forget a lot of the gags and the comedy and all of that, but it was really good. I was really happy for them. Can't wait for part 2, specifically just for good. And nothing else, because Act 2 is worse than Act 1, so I don't know what changes they're gonna make, especially because combined they're 2 hours over the actual stage production, so who knows, but whatever. I did my hair for that, so I was like, you know what, I'll just do a few more sprays of my moisturizing spray right now, 5 minutes ago, and debut Hair for this very special episode. Today we are talking about love life. I am throwing away a piece of my hair into my trash can under my coffee table, as I do, because I have hair, and when you have hair, it falls out and gets everywhere. And that's really bad, and that's annoying. So I gotta put it in my little trash can receptacles that I have throughout my apartment. So today's a very special episode. We're talking about love life. Very special thing. I think I might reach peak annoyingness here in this episode, but I want to start off with some life updates. First of all, my father watched the first episode, and he was like, Ryder, if I pay for you to get an eye exam, will you fucking get an eye exam? And I said yes. So I did get an eye exam, and I will be ordering glasses soon. I'm going to order new glasses December 1st because that's what my Medicaid kicks in. We got Medicaid! Yeah! I still need to cancel my previous insurance. I can't get help with my medical bills for October, because for them to get it back that far, I'm over the income threshold, I think, because I was still employed for the first 9 days of October. So can't get help with that, but for everything else, for the future, for the foreseeable future, because I still don't have a job yet, I have Medicaid, so it seems like I will be paying very, very little for medical services. Yes! And it does cover vision. The place I'm going to get my glasses online, they don't accept insurance, so I'm going to have to contact my Medicaid insurance, Humana, to see if they will reimburse me. If not, my dad said he would pay for me to get new glasses. Apparently my prescription sucks so much I have to get the mega thin lenses, which is an extra $90, so no thank you. And I can also get a contact lens exam, because I got the basic eye exam at Walmart, and that was $90, and the contact lens exam was $180, so I just wanted to get $90, even though my dad, again, was going to pay for that, but whatever. So that happened. I have given up on seeking legal representation for a possible lawsuit against my previous employer for firing me. Because I live in an at-will state, so it was going to be a near impossible battle to begin with. And also, I contacted 3 lawyers. 2 of them, their caseload was full. The third one, they had a conflict of interest with my former employer because they're all from that county and they all know that person. Literally, they said everyone in the office. So that sucked. So I gave it 3 tries. I wasn't even going to contact anything for legal until a couple of family members were like, Ryder, you should do this. So I gave it a try, gave the old college try. It failed, so that's okay. Instead, I'm going to leave a very negative review on Glassdoor. The problem is I still may need things from this former employer, like when I need to get my pay stubs to get on Medicaid. Because say it with me, I was still never able to access the online employment software such as ADP Workday. It was Workday by the time they fired me 3.5 weeks in, so I had to ask them for the pay stubs because I had no access to them. Might still need things from them. So I want to keep it mellow so far. So maybe next month, or maybe when I get a new job. Speaking of getting a new job, I did have an interview, a third interview for a temp job at a college. A temp job. Third interview. They said they're going the temp route because they want to find the right person for it. They said they're looking for someone to hire immediately, even though they took 3 weeks to contact me after my second interview with the temp department. So that's great. They said they're interviewing 2 other people. I sent my classic thank you email, and the department chair said I have a bright future ahead of me. So seemed like he liked me, and it seemed like the other 2 liked me as well. So we'll see. Got a job rejection email today. Applied for 5 other jobs this week to maintain my unemployment, because I have to do 5 job search activities per week. I maybe want to try to like job shadow somewhere with data, because I'm realizing through these job listings that the data I worked in college for research and data for like my former job, not the job before my last one, my like actual good 15-month job, is not data science. That's a whole other thing. That might be a whole other degree. So I want to shadow someone to see if I actually need to get a new degree, which I don't want to do because that's thousands and thousands and almost in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Jesus Christ. I was thinking of a master's degree, which I guess I could do, which would be cheaper than getting an entire bachelor's degree. But if I have to do that, or if I can just take some online certification courses for like Power BI, I want to see if it's like actually easier than how it would be in college. The problem is I don't know how to reach out to someone to shadow them, to reach out to just an entire company and being like, hey, do you have anyone who would let me shadow them? But we'll see on that. Speaking of jobs, I have more drama. The drama follows me. It follows me. So my former boss, who was actually a good boss, she called me asking for some clarification on a presentation I had made that I was no longer able to present because that was in the county that I got exiled and fired from. So she was going to present it, and so she was asking me about it, and then she let me know that no one in that county has said anything about me not being there anymore. So they are truly just trying to pretend that I never existed. And she did tell me, though, that she's leaving her job as director of the department, and she took a job at the state. Good for her, because her management and her bosses were coming for her ass. They did not like her. They wanted to fire her. They were probably going to do that eventually. So she's going, and then so I was like, oh, the assistant director is going to get it. Like, she's been there for 5 years. She's great. She would definitely be a good match. No. Linda, did I call her Linda? I don't know what I called her in the first episode, but the one who was a complete bitch to me and complained about me, and it's just a very sour person. I keep using that adjective whenever I've been describing the situation to my family and friends. Like, she's just a sour person. And she's not like a Sour Patch Kid where she's sour, sweet, gone. She was never sweet, and she's also never gone because she was going to leave in September, and then she didn't. She stayed, and I was the one who left in September and took a new job that fired me after 3.5 weeks. She's just sour, and she stays. She stays sour. She's like a warhead that breaks your jaw. A sour warhead that breaks your jaw. Like a jawbreaker that actually, like, ruins you. So that's dramatic and hyperbolic. But she wants director. She shouldn't get it just based off seniority because she hasn't been there as long as the assistant director. And also, she does not like that job, does not want to be in that field, has said that openly, and has said openly several times that I love my fake job. She said that just at the table, and the assistant director went, the assistant director did not like that. The problem is the boss really likes Linda. So that's a problem. However, if the assistant director gets the director and Linda gets assistant director, Linda's job is going to be open, and I wonder if they're just going to contact me. I have this strange, not intuition, just assumption that they would want me to do it. I might accept it. If Linda is not director, I might accept it, because I remember the salary. It's pretty good. It's higher than what I was making when I was there under a different position. It would be like difficult just because working with a lot of people who don't really want to do much in the meetings, but I could do it, and I might accept it, especially if like other jobs don't come along. So we'll see, but they will have to fill that vacancy, and I could apply for it. The problem was I left on really good terms but the exit interview was a survey from HR that it said was not anonymous, and I was pretty candid on it. So if that just went to HR, that's fine. But if that went to Miss Boss Boss, then that is not fine, because she would not like that. Because I talked about like upper management is too controlling and micromanaging and like doing things that we don't enjoy. So that's not fun. That's not fun, but whatever. So things are moving along. Things are unexpected and just cray cray, and never trust anyone, never take anyone's word for anything. People suck. People put up false interpretations. This Linda is literally an openly two-faced person because she acts overly nice in meetings. I think she said it was because she like knows she can be a bitch, so she needs to like turn it on, like the niceness, to like counteract that as much as she can. I am just myself in meetings, and that is because I am not a sour person, so I don't need to act two-faced. I just have my face, and that's it. I may be a Gemini, but that doesn't mean I'm two-faced. That means I'm all of my traits at once all the time. So that's great for her. I don't want her to get director. No one else wants it. If she does get it, I hope my former coworkers unionize against her and say, we don't want this and we will quit if this is what happens, because they do not deserve a director like that. I actually really like my former coworkers. We were all a really great team and got along really well. So I wouldn't want them to have to put up with that shit, because Linda would not make a good manager / director. She would not. She is not. She is sour, and a manager cannot be sour, because then it just ruins the entire department. No, thank you. So those are some life updates. Oh, I'm going to Vegas next week for Thanksgiving. I'm visiting my mom. Maybe I'll do an episode with her. Who knows? I probably won't do that. But I might go. I want to go to a club. There's this girl I might hang out with who is my mom's friend's daughter who is in Vegas, and she said she would rather die than go clubbing. I just want to go to a gay club. Maybe I can get someone to just like drop me off and I can just see what happens, because the club scene where I am is zero. It's non-existent. There's like a couple bars. There's only one like actually good gay one, but I don't like going because the drag shows start at 10:30 p.m. and I'm an old man, and I like to be very much in bed by 10:30. Very much so. So that does not work for me. No, it does not. And like no Hawkeyes. So, that's on theme with this episode. So I'm hoping that Vegas has more of a dating pool that I am like attracted to. Just want to see it. I just want to see what the vibes are, and then hopefully I can do other fun things. Because it's Vegas. I don't want to gamble. I might drop like $20 and see what happens. I really want to do the slot machines because those are brainless and fun. And Pokemon has definitely groomed me for that. Specifically, oh, what are they? I know it's Gen 4, Diamond Pearl Platinum. They groomed me for gambling. Attention, Game Freak, you groomed me for gambling, and that's why you took it out of the games, and it wasn't in any of the games moving forward, because you got like in controversy for like grooming kids to get, not grooming, but like for having kids gamble. That's so funny, but because they were literally slot machines. But I will go to Vegas and see what happens, and hopefully everything works out and I lose my virginity. Hopefully I have a one-night stand. Even though I don't really want that. So now that I've covered some life updates, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast episode. I have to say potatoes like potatoes because I'm currently residing in the South, and I need to do that to properly assimilate to the culture. I have been saying y'all my entire life because English does not have a you all as one word except for y'all, but that's seen as like not the greatest in like Southern and like slang, versus Spanish has ustedes and English does, which means you all, and English does not have a single word for you all. So I have been saying y'all my entire life, so that's fitting. But the meat and potatoes of this presentation, I need to admit something. I need to get something off my chest. It's my heart. I need to get my heart out of me, rip it out of me, because it's not doing me any good. No. I need to get something off my chest, which is I have an addiction, and the first step to solving a problem is admitting you have a problem. I have an addiction two hot guys. I know. I know. I know. But I know. It's really hard for me to say because it's something that's been plaguing me my entire life since High School Musical debuted in like 2006. I was 5 years old and wanted to have sex with Zac Efron. His twink ass in the first High School Musical movie. He No, so I have an addiction to hot guys, and I have terrible luck in dating because I kind of just refuse to do it because I don't want to. If you ever seen that meme on social media of like me expecting to find the perfect person, even though I spend every living minute of my life, every waking minute of my life in my bedroom, in my bed, and I just expect it, like I just expect this person to break into my home and then be the perfect boyfriend. Like, no, that's not how that works. So, but I have tried a little bit, and by that I mean I've gone out like once or twice and it hasn't worked out, and I immediately understood what the ramifications and the chances were, and I didn't like them, and they were still low. So it's hard because I wish I could be like 1989 Taylor, just like living up in my single life, but I am not. Unfortunately, even though my favorite album is Red, and then 1989 is like a side piece that I'm very devoted to emotionally and love life wise, I am Speak Now Taylor. Welcome to the Hopeless Romantics support group. Transition. Still not messing with the iMovie. I don't want to do it. I just want to be just me, bare bones, raw, Ryder raw, WWE raw today, and for the rest of this podcast episodes. So this is a Hopeless Romantic support group. I am a very horny person, but the problem is I need to have sex with someone I have emotional feelings for. We'll get into that. I want to do a timeline of my sexuality and my dating experiences and my emotional feelings in regard to romantic relationships, a timeline across my entire life, and see what's changed. Nothing's changed. Still at 0. Well, I'm at like a 0.1. On a scale of 1 to 100, I'm like at a 0.1 with experiences now. But I want to go across the timeline and just analyze everything and tell some stories about how much I am a hopeless romantic, and just thinking like timeless, like I can see you, timeless, speak now, mine, sparks fly, like all of these anthems about just like envisioning a relationship. Like that's literally what Taylor said about, I think it was Mine. Like she put her arm around someone and she could just like see the entire relationship right before her eyes, or like Enchanted, like seeing someone across the room and then coming up with this super elaborate, amazing song about the lead singer from Owl City of all people. But just seeing it right then and there, seeing that person across the room and just envisioning everything instantly. That's who I am. I am that kind of person who daydreams about romantic relationships to help me fall asleep. That's my fall asleep thing that I do. It's not even necessarily having sex. It's just like huddling and living life with a future amazing perfect boyfriend. So I am a hopeless romantic. It sucks. I think talking about this, recording this podcast on this of all days is so interesting because I actually had a sex dream last night, not with a man. I rarely had those. And when I was in my first psychology class in college and reading the textbook, like the good student that I was, and I read that people actually rarely have sex dreams, I found that very vindicating because I was like, if I want to have sex so much, why am I not just dreaming about it? But I did have a sex dream, quite an involved sex dream, but it was with a woman. So I'm coming out as bisexual. I'm kidding. No, I'm just gay. I did not like it, even in the dream. And when I'm having like actual gay sex dreams, I'm like basically on the verge of having a wet dream, but it never actually happens. Thank God, because I don't want to clean that shit up. We all know the consistency of semen and how it ruins everything. I don't want to mess with that. No, thank you. No, but this one I was just like completely dry. It was so funny. I was just like attempting to have sex with this woman, and it was just like not. It was so weird, and also because it was a dream, so there were like other intersecting things happening as dreams are like super random. This was also interlaced with a dream I've had for like the 4th time within the past month and a half of getting groceries at Walmart. I don't know why, and it looks the same every time. My dreamscape of Walmart is very consistent, and I'm always getting salmon in the dream, and I'm always looking for it. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. Oh, what's happening? Oh no. Okay. We're back because it's been 20 minutes. My fucking computer like went. Oh wait. Okay, we're back. So, in one of the dreams, I was talking to Sabrina Carpenter about music, so that was interesting. But yes, I had a sex dream with a woman. And I hope I never have it again because I'd much rather have a sex dream with a guy and actually be horny about it. But let's go through the timeline. So, when did you know you were gay? Always knew I was gay. But when I actually came out was I was 14. And although I had always been attracted to guys, kind of like this trigger moment was when I watched Dirty Dancing for the first time with my dad and stepmom, and I was like enraptured by Patrick Swayze's beauty. I remember my stepmom saying like, "Oh, I'd love to dance with him," and I remember saying kind of under my breath, like kind of muttered it, "You only want to dance with him?" So that night, at the peak of my confusion, which was really just at the peak of trying to deny my sexuality, even though no one needed me to, and my family has always been very supportive, and I never doubted how supportive they would be. And actually, in the seventh grade, when I was hanging out with a new friend group, one of them I'm still friends with to this day, Katrin, we've been besties for 10 years. We've been going strong for 10 years. Um, we were all going around the room like talking about our sexuality, and that's when I learned of the term bi-curious. So I was like, oh, if I had to like guys, at least I could like girls as well. Nope, just guys. But anyways, back to when I was 14, and this was like a couple weeks before my freshman year of high school started. So I watched that movie, and I told myself, Ryder, like just have a dream to tell me like what the T is and give me the 411 because I'm so confused. And then I actually did have that dream. In the dream, which technically was a sex dream, but it wasn't very graphic. So in the dream, I leave my condo at the time, my dad's condo, and I walk into the street, and there's kind of like a crowd of people, but they're like kind of spread out. And then I see a guy who I think is cute. And then I'm immediately transported to just like a room, like a bedroom, and I'm on top of him and he's on his stomach. So I'm looking at his back and I kind of like feel his back with my hand, and I turn my head, and in the corner was my really good friend Amanda, not Katrin, Amanda, and I'll use their real names because I only have nice things to say about like anytime I use someone's real name, it's because I actually like them and I don't have bad things to say about them. I'm also not concerned about their privacy because we've been friends, so like whatever. But is Amanda, who I met in the second grade when I switched schools because my parents divorced and I fucking hated it. She had written in her diary about how sour and pessimistic I was, and I did not like being there. But she really helped bring me out of my shell because I was very introverted, still am. But when I was a kid, it was so much fucking worse. So I turn my head, and she's there in the corner, and she says, "Go ahead, Ryder, try it." So I never see anything go in, and I think that's funny because I'm actually very uninterested in anal sex, but I think that's what the dream was implying. Obviously, I think the dream was just trying to make it very obvious. But what we cut to is me and the guy like spooning me, so his head is behind me, and I just feel really calm and good. It's kind of like the feeling you get after an orgasm where everything's really like calming and tranquil, and you kind of have that high from sex. And I woke up and immediately was like, I'm gay. I think a friend joked, yeah, it was Abby in high school. She joked like, I woke up and saw a sign on my window that said, "You're gay." You're gay. I immediately knew, and then my dad picked me up at my mom's. So the dream was from starting at my dad's condo, but I was actually in my mom's condo at the time. I woke up, he picked me up for lunch. I got in the car and immediately said I'm gay. And then my mom got home from work later that day, immediately told her I'm gay, immediately came out to everyone when I could, just like I'm gay, just said it very plainly, just I'm gay. They were very supportive, and I came out to my friends when school started, like at the first day of school assembly. I was sitting next to Katrin and Amanda, and I told them I'm gay. Katrin said, I know. Yeah, she knew, bitch. Also, funny story about Katrin, she was the only one in that group in the seventh grade when you were talking about our sexualities, where she was the only one that said, like, I'm just straight. Cut to years later, post college, she is I'll just say she's bi. She likes to go without a label. I'll just say she's queer, but she's definitely not straight. So, got your ass. Got your fucking ass. Gay people always find each other, always. It's just a superpower we have. We have that magnetic location, echolocation powers to find each other and become friends even before we're all out of the closet. But Amanda just says, like, oh, because she actually told me that she had never really thought about it. Um, so it's interesting that she was the one that was like a motivator, like a helper in my dream, but she in real life had actually never like really thought about it. It's kind of weird because I remember in elementary school trying to like date her a little bit. I remember one specific moment. I like cringe about this. You know, when you're young and you don't know anything, so you just base everything off what you see in TV. So I remember starting a conversation with her during recess, then immediately, like with no segue, just not smoothly at all, just transitioning to like, oh, that cloud looks like a dog. Just starting to talk about the shapes of clouds because that's what people in movies do when they're romantically interested in each other, and that's what they do on dates. So that was funny of me. I was lying to myself. But of course, because of heteronormativity and everything like that, of course I was going to like try to be straight and try to date girls, of course. But okay, so the timeline is I'm 14. I just started my freshman year of high school and I'm gay. I am freshly gay. I have a couple other friends who are also gay. They're like second circle friends and we're gay, so we can like talk about that. And all my friends are okay with it. No one's homophobic, thank God. I mean, this is like the Chicago, like an hour out of Chicago, northwest suburbs of Chicago. It's pretty liberal there. No one's homophobic, and it was really great timing for me to come out because that's when I got my first crush. Again, the hopeless romantic support group. My first crush, who was straight, of course, just based off statistical probability, he was bound to be straight. He was so cute. He was actually like pretty damn hot. We had two classes together my freshman year, gym class and English. And being with him in gym class, girl, when swim unit started, because my high school had a pool and we had swim unit for like a few weeks and he was shirtless. Pretty nice. I didn't wear my glasses during it. I think I just left my glasses in my like gym locker. So I couldn't actually like see him, but I could still see enough. And he was so built. He had no reason being that built. I remember just our gym teacher referring to him as like Superman one time because he was just so built. He was also so athletic. He was on the football team, baseball team. He liked soccer. He did wrestling. He was just a very athletic person. Also, really, really smart. Smarter than me. I'm smart, but I was never the smartest in school. And like later on in high school, I started to calm down with the academics. So I also like I started to not care. But all the jocks at my school were smart, like really smart, and they were also quite nice. Like I know the stereotype is that jocks are dumb and they're mean, but the ones at my school were the complete opposite. So did I use his name already? If not, we're calling him James. So James was the love of my life. I remember talking to my family and friends. Like I remember saying to my mom, his smile melts my heart. He was so cute. He was only ever like an inch taller than me, and I've capped out at 5'6". I'm pretty short for a guy, so he was also like kind of short. But he was so built, like the pecs, the biceps, the abs. Looking back on it, I think it's funny that like, excuse me. Of course, like I was 14, so like sexualizing a 14-year-old when I'm 14 is not a problem. But I look back at that and I'm like, if I looked at a 14-year-old right now, I think they're like a baby. But when I was 14, I was like, this is the love of my life, and we're gonna get married and we're gonna have tons of sex. Anyways, I didn't completely view him sexually, but I still thought he was hot, if that makes sense. Like having sex with him wasn't my ultimate goal. After all, I was only 14. I know some freaking middle schoolers have sex, which is fucking nuts. Crazy. I'm a very sex positive person, but I'm like, that is way too fucking young. Like, you should not be doing that at that age. Y'all are babies. So I was not of that group. I was more chill than that. I just wanted to be boyfriends with him. He had beautiful eyes too. He had blue-green eyes. His eyes were like a lily pad on like a deep blue lake. Like he was just fucking hot. Like he honestly won the genetic lottery. He was so hot and so smart. So the years go on and I'm kind of getting over it because sophomore year we didn't have any classes together. Then junior year we had AP physics together, and then senior year I just like saw him every now and then, and I truly never got over the crush until I graduated. Even then, even now, I still like to look back sometimes, very infrequently, like a picture I have of him, just to be like, oh, that was like my first crush, and I had a crush on him for all of high school. I think he kind of looks worse now. I remember like checking out his Facebook because I was with some coworkers and we were just like talking about stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna check up like on these guys I thought were really cute in high school and see what they're up to now. His current Facebook picture looks worse than how I remember him, and also this other guy, we'll call him Colton. Um, he looks worse. Like, I remember on his Facebook, he still had a picture of him from when he was 17, and then his current picture from like a year ago, and I'm like, he looks worse. Like, he just looks worse. So, and I remember my coworkers agreeing with that and also being like, you glowed up, because I showed them pictures of me and they were like, you look better. And I don't want to say that too maliciously against these guys, because again, they were very nice. I don't have anything against them, but some of us glow up after high school and some of us like die down, get uglier and worse, but some of us like grow into our features and stuff like that. But yeah, so James, I had a crush on for all of high school, and then I was very kind of awkward about it because I think he probably knew I wasn't good at keeping secrets, or I wasn't good at like hiding my emotions, and especially in gym class freshman year, I would just keep like looking at him and taking glances at him because he was so cute. There are two telltale signs that I really like a guy. The first one is I want to stare at his face. I just want to stare dead on at his face and like uninterrupted. And then two, I want to verbally abuse him. So those are the two signs that I really like a guy, and those are the signs that I look out for. But he got a girlfriend senior year. We'll call her Samantha. She was also very nice. They made a really cute couple. But I remember he won a superlative, and I was on the newspaper in high school my senior year. So like we were taking the pictures of the people who won the superlatives, and I was just feeling like hot and heavy around him again, not sexually, but just like blushing, like feeling embarrassed of like, oh God, here he is, oh God. Um, then junior year in AP physics, I was like, don't put us in a lab together. Don't put us in a lab together. I don't want to do an assignment with him. I like love him and he doesn't love me back. Like I feel so awkward around him. Then finally it happened and it was fine. I remember looking at his hands one time in physics and I saw they were dry and I was like, ew, put fucking lotion on your hands. Jesus Christ. But I remember him. It was this project where we were okay. So this is the tuning fork, and this is a tube. Pretend there's a tube here, and we had to get the frequency. So he would like use the tuning fork and like listen to it, and we were all trying it out. The teacher brought out the Tesla coil thing, if that's right, where it send out the sparks, but if you touch it, if you put your hand in it, your hair like goes up because of the static. And he did that. I remember he was putting his fist out at first and you could see like the sparks, like the tiny lightning bolts hitting his fist. And it hurt a little bit. There were several students that did it. It was fun. It was at the end of the year. But then he did it. And he didn't have much hair for it to float around. He was always kind of like close cropped because he was an athlete. Can't have hair getting in the way. But he was the love of my life. There was also what should we call him? God, I'm gonna have trouble keeping track of all these different names for all the guys I was in love with. We'll call him what's in their name? Lucas. That's a name I like. His name was Lucas. He was a senior on the debate team and I was a freshman. He was so fucking cute. So cute. He was tall. He was on the volleyball team, blonde. I fucking love blondes. Sometimes I think I'm just a straight guy in a gay guy's body because of how much I like blondes. But he was so cute. I remember he had like a shallow Ziploc bag where he would eat his goldfish from, and I remember he would use his tongue to get the remaining goldfish from the bottom of the bag. I did not view that sexually, actually, at all. I just remember that distinctly, him doing that. He also had straight teeth. There goes my stomach again. Again, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. In this podcast, we tell stories with lots of, fuck. Oh my God, it's a math term. Come on, come on. I'm literally live right now. I can't forget what it is. Tangents. There we go. In this podcast, we tell stories with lots of tangents, and we also have digestive systems that disagree with us because we don't treat them as kindly as we should. Okay, so ignore it. So there was Lucas. I liked him, but again, he was a senior when I was a freshman, so didn't really get to spend as much time with him as the second love of my life. So we graduate. We graduate high school. And I know what you're thinking, Ryder, how many dates did you go on in high school? That's not an O, that's a zero. Let me make it thinner. You know how like zeros are thinner than O's? That's a zero. I went on zero dates. I think I might have mentioned this in a previous episode. There's only two other episodes and I still can't keep track of them. I went on zero dates and no one ever asked me out, and I think this is very defining for me. I think it's something that I still need to unpack and kind of dismantle in my head about how I view myself sexually and how I view my own attractiveness. I think having no one ask you out during the cliche high school years is awful. I think it's bad for your psyche. And I think when you're me and you very much wanted to go out, even though I again was an introvert and wasn't really like super social, even though that by high school that problem was like pretty much fixed, like I was a lot more extroverted. It did not happen. Oh, there's actually another story I need to tell. But it did not happen. There was nothing. I mean, there's really nothing to say on the matter because it was zero. It was a big fat zero. There were no dating experiences. No one ever asked me out. And I also knew not to ask guys out. I might have been young, but I was smart. Always been smart. Thank you. Sometimes I'm naive, but sometimes I'm not so naive. I remember seeing this one guy on Instagram where he was like, he doesn't ask guys if they're gay first before he asks them out. He'll just ask for their number. I think that's very brave, and I think that's what more people should do because fucking straight people get to do that because they have the luxury of knowing that the person they're attracted to is probably most likely attracted to their gender back. Queer people do not have that luxury because of statistical availability and probability. But he still does that, and I really admire that. I'm not brave enough to do that, but I do admire that. But I had the opposite mentality in high school. I knew, or at least I was telling myself, do not ask someone out unless you know he is gay. And I did have a few gay friends, but none of us asked each other out. I think we all knew, like, none of us were into each other. There was a moment in senior year of high school at the state debate tournament where me and Ben, I'll use his first name, we were in a hotel room together, but there were two other guys, so like nothing happened, but we knew and we confirmed this after we graduated that if we were alone in that hotel room together, we would have kissed. He was already sexually active at that point. I like did not want to have sex with him. I didn't view him like that, but he was gay. So it would have been nice to get my first kiss like when I was 17 instead of when I was 23. We'll get there. So there was nothing. There was a little something my senior year. This is a fun story. This is a really great story. Dropping it in the third episode. His name was Anthony. I'm using his name because he fucking sucked. I'm using his name because I'm not afraid of him and he fucking sucked ass. His name was Anthony. He was Hispanic, so we kind of bonded out that a bit because I'm half Hispanic, but most of all, he was gay. So he was my first, like, really, really out, like, in the culture gay friend. And so he introduced me a lot to the culture, mainly memes. That was kind of it, but it was still, like, fun. I hadn't really been exposed to, like, gay memes at the time. I had just been exposed to, like, regular memes on iFunny. But he was a good friend to have until he wasn't. So one day, I picked him up from SAT testing because he had no one else to pick him up. So he called me and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll pick you up because I could drive. And he told me this story. I need to fucking sit down cross-legged for this one because this is so fucking insane. I need to take a sip. Hold on. Okay. He was also a photographer and we did a couple of photo shoots with me. I actually still have one of those pictures on my Instagram because I really like it with like star stickers on my face. But anyways, he told me this one story where when he was young, he was originally from California, then he moved to like I think Arkansas and then to Illinois. So he, when he was like 7 years old or something, was walking around California, unattended to apparently, and he happened upon this shop, and in this mystical shop, a mystical like store clerk worker gave him this book. And in this book told this story of, I guess I'll just say, a cult or like some mystical shit. Basically, it's called the wheel. And I said, why is it called the wheel? And he said, that's the first thing man invented. I don't think that's true. I think fire is the first thing man invented, but okay. It's called the wheel. And in the wheel are 6 elements, which someone is one of those elements. There's earth, air, fire, water, and then also electricity and space. And he said space was the rarest one. I was apparently a fire, even though I'm a Gemini, so I'm an air sign, but I think he told me I was a fire. And he kind of made me feel special a bit because even though I knew like it was probably bullshit, but I still like magic stuff. So I still wanted to like go along with it. He told me, I wish I didn't have the hiccups. He told me that I was an eye. That I was an eye. Do you see that? Do you see my eye? I was one of these. I actually have 2 of them, but I was one of them. JK. He told me I was an eye. And that eyes are people in regional zones. How big are those regions? I don't fucking know. Eyes are people in regional zones who have a lot of like power. And when he first came to Chicago, oh, I see. He was in air, and that's why he liked Chicago, because it's called the Windy City. And I'm like, bitch, you should go to where I currently live because it's so much fucking windier than Chicago. But he told me I was an eye, and at the end of first semester of our senior year, we were in the McDonald's parking lot. He worked at McDonald's, and we had bought crystals. We drove around. I drove us to some place that was like 40 minutes away from my house. It was like so fucking far. And we bought crystals for me. He got me into crystals, and we were tethering them to me, and he showed me how to do it. And then my friends were like, Ryder, he has a crush on you. And I was like, no, he doesn't. He confirmed that night that he did have a crush on me. The problem was I was not into him literally whatsoever. He was not my type literally at all. Need my mic back. And it would turn out that the ritual little thing we did to tether the crystals to me, that was actually him taking my eye because he needed to give it to his friend in Arizona. So beyond all this mystical bullshit, the thing was he lied to me. And when I found this out, I started giving him the cold shoulder, even though we still didn't interact because we were in newspaper together. He was a photographer, like I said. But I was like, it's over. And also I started to see the manipulation signs, obviously the lying to me about this mystical bullshit. He was kind of controlling in a weird way. Sorry, my car, that's not my car, but there's some frost here. It's like 35 degrees where I am today. We got some snow. It did not stick around. Thank God. I fucking hate the winter, but it's quite chilly today. But he lied to me, and he was quite controlling. He had this book that talked about like the way people align based off their birthdays and their compatibility with each other. So I gave him my best friend Katrin. I gave him my best friend's birthday and my birthday, and we were talking on the phone, and he wouldn't read the passage to me, and I was like, but it's my birthday and my friend. And he said, yeah. And he just never let me read it. And then one day he took it, he had it in class, and I just like took it and just like read it just like in front of him. And then he also, again with Katrin, so again, controlling, manipulative, targeting someone he knows is my best friend and I'm very close to. He claimed that she was a space and that they were on the same wavelength in a way that I was not with her. And I remember I told Katrin that maybe a couple years ago, and she was like, what? Because she like didn't really interact with him that much, so she was just like, no. So yeah, he fucking sucked. Anthony, you suck shit. You know who you are. You suck shit. You manipulated me. You were a pathological liar, and you suck shit. And then when we graduated, I just never talked to him ever again. So Oh, also during that, we did a theme for like the senior edition of the newspaper where we got kind of like the word that comes to mind is champions in the school, not champions, like notable people in the school. I actually got Katrin to do it, and the theme was Disney, so she did Harper's marker dress from Wizards of Waverly Place, and it was so iconic. And then I also nominated James because he was such like an athletic person. Everyone knew him. He was in my school. We didn't have like popular kids. We just had kids who were just like good at stuff. So if you were really athletic and also really smart, you were gonna be like well known, and I don't think there's a problem with that. That's just what happens. And again, he was very nice. So I suggested Troy Bolton for him. I thought that was just like an obvious choice. And then I found this basketball jersey at a it was not Goodwill. It was the military one. What's the military one? At a thrift shop. And we did the photo in the morning, and he was at basketball practice, and I remember he was taking his jersey off to wear that jersey, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna see his arms. No, he was wearing an undershirt, like an undershirt with sleeves like this, and I was like, damn it, I wanted to see your biceps, damn it. But yeah, so I graduated, and then with nothing, no dating experiences. So then my 18th birthday in June, so pretty soon after graduation, like a month after, my 18th birthday was making a Tinder with my friends. So I was at my friend's house, there were like 5 of us there, and I made a Tinder, and I immediately got disillusioned to the fact that this was not going to be like a sea of hot people for me to choose from and get a shitload of dating experiences, and this was going to be so great and fun. No. It was a lot of the guys I was not into and who barely talk to you because dating apps suck. So yeah, I did get one match. His name was, let's call him John, the most generic guy name. Let's call him John. He was a John Doe, Mr. John Doe. He was like my age, whatever. And it was actually my friend Gabby who swiped right on him. And then it was a match, and we met up at a coffee shop, and the date did not go well. It was my very first date. Wow, looking back on it, that was my first date. And it was not really great. There were some lulls in the conversation. And then I wanted to get his snap. I was like, my mission for this date is to get his snap. And I did. And then we left. And then a few days later, or maybe it was even like the next day, I had just gotten done volunteering at this place. And I remember walking to my car in the parking lot and snapping him, like chatting him. Would you want to go mini golfing sometime? And he replied and said, sorry, I'm not interested in pursuing a romantic relationship with you. And I was like, damn, okay. So more swiping, then I get on Grindr. That's a hellscape. Not gonna go into that. I think then I get Hinge, and once again, nothing. So that entire summer, nothing else. Nothing. Maybe one match, a couple chats with guys on Grindr, and that's it. So then I go to college in a different state, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to be a whole new dating pool. This is going to be great. No. So same deal, just disinterested in the dating pool. Not as many guys as I thought, not as many hot guys as I would thought. And again, nothing. So maybe like a month in, I get on Bumble, and I do get a match with a guy that I'd seen before at this one like small campus event, and he was a year older than me, and I was like, okay, cool, I've already like met him, that's so great. He had cute, I liked his arms. He had cute. He was cute, and he had good arms that I liked. We go on a date, and I always refer to this as a half day because we just walked around campus because he couldn't decide where to eat. And we're just talking, and because I had never had sex before and still have not, he really like treated me like a child, and it was so weird because he was the only one in college that did that. Every other person in college, student and professor alike, like everyone treated me just like an adult. They just treated me like me, like none of them ever looked down on me or anything like that. He was the only one that did that. And we like hugged at the end of the day. We circled back to my dorm, and then I got to feel his bicep. But before that, he was like talking about like top and bottom, and like how I wouldn't have a choice but to bottom. And I was like, what? Like, that's weird. Why am I what's this? Okay, I just got a thumbs down. You know what? Yes, photo booth on my Mac. That was a thumbs down. That was really weird that you would say something like that. But I was still, say it with me, desperate. Desperate. I think I spelled that right. I'm literally writing a book trilogy, don't even know how to spell the word desperate. I was desperate. He was not desperate. I was desperate. I would also like sext him and he would make weird remarks about like fixing my sexual frustration and things like that. Very weird, big red flags. And then I texted him later that night, honestly. May have been later that night. And he had blocked me on everything except texting. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it. You don't want to, be with me, whatever. So he tried to ghost me, but it didn't work. Because he wanted to text on our like phone texting apps and he forgot to block me on that. So that was that. And then I joined men's choir. And again, I was like, oh, maybe I'll find like a boyfriend here. There has to be gay guys in choir. Not really, especially not ones that I was interested in. Or really just like any in general. Maybe like 4 other guys. That's not exactly a great dating pool to like date around. So that was that. And then the pandemic hit. Then sophomore year, I was basically alone in my dorm all the time. And then junior year, I started to get out. And then, oh, sorry, I have more experience in my freshman year. And before anyone says, Ryder, you have to go out to meet people, I was going out. My freshman year before the pandemic hit, I was very, very social and still nothing happened. There was one guy who reached out to me via Grindr. We were in the same journalism class. I was not into him, but I talked with him one time in the student center. Made it very clear I was not sexually into him. And that was that. And then another guy I was also not into, and he was also not emotionally ready for a relationship because he had just gotten done with one. So he was also very clearly not ready. He had looked me up on, he worked in the dorms at the front desk. So he looked me up in the dorms database, and I was the only rider who was living on campus that year, I guess, in that dorm database. So he knew my first name for the dating apps and then found my last name from the database and then looked me up on Instagram, and that's how he messaged me. Yeah. And we had dinner in the dining hall together, and that's it. Because I was still in my era where I was like doing things with people. One time this guy just randomly sat in front of me when I was eating alone, and we just had a conversation. He talked about his music, and he mentioned Shawn Mendes, and I was like, yeah, well, like also Shawn Mendes is like hot, so he probably got a boost from that. I was basically telling this guy he wasn't hot, which wasn't exactly true. He was like cute enough, but whatever. That didn't go anywhere. I was just like very social my freshman year. Then sophomore year, nothing. Junior year, nothing. Again, like going on like trying the dating apps, deleting them, going back on them, deleting them, going back on them again. Nothing. And basically just ended with nothing. So like that was that. Until several months ago. Well, actually, then I went to a gay bar for the first time last year, was very unimpressed by the guys, was very unimpressed by the bar in general. Apparently, I had gone to a bad bar. It was like a shoebox. It was so bad. I left after like an hour. It was just so bad. And then I went to a different one that actually had a drag show, and I was like, okay, there's something actually going on. So at least that happened. And then there was this one guy, I wanted to flirt with him, but I chickened out. So instead what I did, he was so cute. He was like living for the queens. And so I was like, I really liked his energy. I was really attracted to that, but I was too scared to flirt with him. So instead I just raised my hand against his shoulder like this, not like doing this, but like, I just went like that, as I left, and then just kept on walking. That was my little thing that I did. And I have since not gone back because I'm an old man and I like being in bed when the sun is down. Thank you. So that never happened. And then several months ago, I got my first kiss, and it was a mouthful of bad breath. I will describe the situation. So sorry, I just bit my fucking tongue. Jesus Christ. This episode is not going well. So we'll call him, I am forgetting all the guys I've ever talked to. Jeff. We'll call him Jeff. What's up, Jeff? So Jeff was someone I had come across my freshman year of college. So yes, we are taking it back 4 years because shit never stops following me. These ghosts will not stay in the closet. Haha, gay joke. he was in Pokemon Club, and then I thought he was cute. We matched on Tinder, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. We were in Pokemon Club together, and I thought you were really cute." And he said, "Oh, sorry. Sometimes my friend like swipes right on everyone that comes across on Tinder." And I said, "Oh, okay, no worries." So then 4 years later, oh my god, this shit was such a fucking surprise. 4 years later, he messages me on Grindr, introduces himself with a face pic and a dick pic. I do not like dick pics, so this is already not going well. And he is basically like, "Hey, remember me?" And I am crazy and I remember everything about everything. I have a very interesting, distinctive memory. So I do remember it. I remember the Pokemon I gave him as part of his Pokemon Showdown team. I remember him reading from the piece of paper, Justified Gallade. Oh, there's a lot of stuff on here because I gave him a completely decked out Pokemon with all the shit. I remember I gave him the ability to Justify, then his opponent used a dark type move and then it raised his attack. So I remembered it very distinctly, very, very, very specifically. But of course, I can't say that because then I come across as crazy. So instead I said, "Oh yeah, we were in Pokemon Club and then we matched, but like it was an accident or something." And he said, "Yeah." And basically, long story short, we were talking for a couple of weeks and he couldn't hang out, but he actually worked like basically right across from where I live. So one day he was just like, "Hey, I'm free now." And I was like, "Okay." Because all my friends were like, "Ryder, serial killers, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Yeah, but like, he went to a rent fair recently. And next week he's going whitewater rafting in Virginia. Like, serial killers don't do that." And obviously I'm not dead. Nothing like bad happened, thank God. But we're talking a little bit and he is like bi-curious, still working out his sexuality, even though he's had sex with guys and he's enjoyed it. So I'm like, I think in my head, congratulations, you're bi. So he comes over, we're sitting on this couch, on this fucking couch. I'm here, he's there, right next to me. He is there. And we are talking. I do not feel horny at all. Like, literally at all. I don't feel horny. We're just talking. And then my bedroom's right there. So he said, "Maybe we could go lie down." And I'm like, "Okay." So we're laying down. And then again, I feel nothing. I am not really sure how this is supposed to go. I had never had a guy over before. That was the first time I was having a guy over. I had zero experience, nothing. And that was a very good lesson that like I can daydream as much as I want, but that doesn't replace actual real life experience and the skills you get from real life experience. So he is we're laying down and he says, "Can we do something to like dispel the tension?" Meanwhile, I'm like, "What tension? I don't feel anything. I'm just laying down on my bed." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I close the blinds and that's me saying like, "Yes, okay." Because I'm like, time to do something. And he takes his pants and underwear off and then I take my shorts off. I keep my underwear on and my shirt on. And we start making out, and that's my first kiss. And it's a mouthful of bad breath. Pretty soon after that experience, I bought icebreakers at Walmart, looping it back to Walmart because I was like, I have to be ready next time. We start with just like open mouth tongue kissing. And this is my first time I'd ever kissed someone and have ever experienced French kissing at that. So it felt very weird. And then he pretty quickly asks, "Have you ever been intimate with a man before?" And I say no. And I hadn't completely told him that. And that was a mistake on my part. That was a big mistake. He nibbles my ear a bit. He moves. And I'm like, I've like watched porn, right? And I could think of in my head what to do. But actually being in that situation, like I don't even know how to describe it. I just didn't know what to do. I would imagine if I was turned on, I would have done more stuff, but because I wasn't turned on at all, I was just like not moving. So he moves my hand onto his dick and I'm like, okay. And then he starts stroking my penis and I feel nothing. I have a man stroking my penis. I feel nothing. In fact, I start to feel like I'm going to throw up because I get so anxious. So I cut it off and I say, "Sorry, I'm just not feeling it." And so he luckily had a limited time to be there anyway. So I was like, thank God. So he gets redressed and he leaves. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like reeling from this situation. I try calling people, they don't pick up. So I call a coworker who I've heard her say before, she does not like phone calls, but I needed someone to talk to that was not one of my parents, that I did not want to talk to them at that time, and she luckily picked up. And I had been like giving her like the details on like what was going on with this guy. So that was like very weird. And then I go for a walk because I'm like, I need to get out of my head, out of my space. This was so weird. I play clean Taylor's version, obviously, and he texts me and he just says sorry, and I say like, I'm sorry, I should have told you, I had zero experience, blah blah blah. And he said like, I'm sorry, I was here first. And I said like, again, like, it's not your fault, like I should have been a lot more honest. And it just ended there. I had thought maybe like a month later about texting him again and being like, hey, I've been thinking about this more, and like, this was a sucky situation, I'm sorry. But I just left it at that, and we have not talked since. So that was a very like shattering the rose-colored glasses moment. It showed me that I could not just turn it on, me being turned on. I cannot just settle for availability. I have to reach for and go for attraction. And I can't just have a one-night stand. I know I opened this with saying like my goal is to have a one-night stand with Vegas. I doubt that will happen. Because I've learned that even if he's like 6'5" and super muscular and super gorgeous and blonde, I still might not be into it. So that was a very tough realization. I think because the idea of like needing to wait to have sex seems to make sex even more of an impossible thing for me to get, because gay people do hookups. Even lesbians do hookups and then move in with each other like a week after. Like, I am not in the dating pool that favors and prioritizes building a relationship before you have sex, or even building a relationship, period. I think that the gay people want it, but they also just want to have sex, so they do that first, and then that just ruins any chance of having a relationship. I think that when you're older, like when you're at least in your 40s, having sex right away doesn't matter, because you've already been through so many relationships and you've already done the thing, and maybe you're married and now you're divorced. But when you're younger, I think it's more important to wait, at least if you want to build a relationship. So that was a very tough moment. And then a while later, I matched with this guy on Tinder, and we had sexual interests in common. This was over Labor Day weekend. Okay, I have a time frame for this. So this was a couple of months ago. And our sexting, oh, it's snowing again. Fun. Our sexting was very hot and heavy over Labor Day weekend. I was really into it. And then it kind of just fell off. He also lived an hour and a half away from me, which that was kind of annoying. If we were going to have sex, that would be annoying to like drive that far if either one of us was going to do that. And it has now been like a month since we last texted. I just texted him today because I was like, and why not? And he has not gone back to me. And actually, last month, I triple texted him and I said, like, if you're not interested, that's okay. I just thought we were kind of hitting it off. And he informed me that his dad had passed away. So that was not great. I would actually venture to say that that was a sucky moment. But then he asked me how I was doing, so I was like, okay, he's not holding it against me, because I'm like, shit. I mean, how was I supposed to know that his dad had passed away? Of course he wasn't going to fucking talk to me, this, like, not even situationship of a relationship, because his dad died, like, of course. So that sucked, and so now we are back at 0. We are back at nothing. My hopes for the future are very dim. I don't want to end this on a sad note, but like that's kind of just the reality of the situation. I'm a 23-year-old virgin. I got my first kiss, and it doesn't even feel like I got my first kiss, because I thought my first kiss was going to be fireworks. I thought it was going to be Sparks Fly Taylor's version, and it was not. It was, again, a mouthful of bad breath, and it was very eye-opening, and literally eye-opening. I remember, instead of having my eyes closed while we were making out, my eyes were open because I was so uncomfortable and I was just not into it whatsoever. He was into me though. Okay. I do have something. I do have a positive note to end on. So I've always worried about my attractiveness. I'm not exactly the most conventionally attractive person. I do have some privileges in that area. I am skinny. I have, I would say, a very nice jawline. I have a good head of hair. My nose is very Eastern European. It's not like the Western European button nose, so that's technically a flaw when we're looking at conventional stereotypes of attractiveness. My upper lip is thin. I'm just going over the things I don't like about myself now. Wow, great. Also, my neck is long, which I think could go either way, but I was looking at a picture. Oh yeah, my writers group had its book launch. You should buy it. The Blah 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 Writers Group, the Anthology Volume 2, Mothers, Fathers, Sons, and Daughters, now available on Amazon. Look for the tree. That's on the cover. But we had our book launch, and in the pictures, I was like, wow, my neck is long. My larynx is also very pronounced because I'm just so skinny. But the guy I did have a failed hookup with, Jeff, he was like 6'2". He looked like a lumberjack. And he was into me. He had a fucking boner. He was very hard. He was into me. This straight guy was into my gay ass, and he had a nice face, nice jawline. He worked out. I mean, he wasn't like the most like toned build on top, but he like did go to the gym. So he was into me. So I think that did change my level of attractiveness, at least my impression of it, even though that should not depend on what others think about me. But I'm a young person in America, so like of course it does. Not even young person, I'm just a person in this world, so like of course I care about what others think about me, especially when it comes to guys seeing me as attractive or not. But he was really into me. He wanted to have sex with me. If I had let it happen, if I didn't feel like throwing up, he probably would have like ejaculated at some point. So like there is that. That's ending on a positive note, but there's an ambulance. Hey, ambulance. We're back at zero. We are back at ground zero, back to square one with like, oh no, I do need to have a relationship to have sex. And it sucks because again, I'm such a horny fucking person and masturbation only takes me so far. I'm really getting kind of sick of it. I'm like, this is not satisfying. I am so sexually dissatisfied. It's kind of like insane. I feel like there should be a case study about my sexuality and my sexual feelings. Oh, there's a fire truck. What apartment is on fire? I don't hear anything. Damn, okay. I'm on fire. See, that's the firefighters coming to hose me down because I'm so hot and heavy all the time. I'm literally the sister in like Water for Chocolate, now streaming on Max. I like it. I have heard about it before because Spanish. Half Hispanic, studying Spanish for 9 years. But when she makes the rose dish and she infuses her, not love, but like sexual attraction into the dish, and her sister eats it and she goes outside to take a shower and she literally lights the shower. It looks like an outhouse. She lights it on fire because of like the mysticism of this story. That's literally me. That's literally me when I see a hot guy. I'm like, oh my God. And then my addiction to hot guys stems from Instagram because they're all there and I have trouble just not going on Instagram and instead watching like YouTube or something. Instead, I want to look at hot guys on Instagram. And it's a problem because they're all there and it kind of warps my view of guys in general because those guys are not here and those guys also have eating disorders and workout disorders. But like I do see guys that I like. The problem is I am afraid to go up to them and they're also probably straight based off, again, say it with me, statistical probability. But my freshman year of college, when I started working out and then the pandemic hit, so I stopped working out, I would go to the gym and I was like, oh my God, all of my type in one place. That's insane. But yeah, I should end it here. Maybe I'll continue this in the future. Maybe I'll get a boyfriend at some point. My mom is always telling me that I'm gorgeous and I'm like, thanks, mama. Your opinion kind of means nothing to me. Your opinion kind of means nothing to me, to be honest. But okay, thank you for saying those nice things about me. Because every fucking mother thinks their child is gorgeous. But I'm going to cut it off there. This has been Parallel Stories Podcast, Episode 3, the Hopeless Romantic Support Group. Make sure to subscribe and like and comment. Follow my Instagram at RyanOfro. You can also follow my personal Instagram at RyanOfro if you would like. Also check out my blog, Parallel Stories of the Divided Mind. That should be the only thing that comes up at like the top of your search engine when you search it. Things will be in the description. I'm really sounding like a YouTuber now. Wow. Smash that fucking like button and smash that subscribe button. Wow, I'm really not good at closing these out, am I? I'm gonna have to come up with an outro. Trying to stay positive and it's not working, but I should have new glasses within the next couple of weeks and that'll make me see better. So at least there's that. Bye.